How does that look?
No, I'm not saying that. You get some sense that there's a handful of stocks.
Look at that. I mean, you could tie that to the market. Bang.
Tim, one of the
My
many
man.
reasons I love doing this is because your computer screen, it's like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get.
You don't know what you're going to get, and there's always something that is either a red herring of some kind, or it's exactly that chocolate covered caramel, which is a winner, and definitely not the one that I take a bite of and put back down. Have you ever done that before? Seriously,
Of course,
seriously.
everybody has done it. I mean, I won't put it back in the box. I'll throw it out. And what I find amazing is so many of those chocolates, they are those ones where
They're
you take a
awful.
bite, you're like, what is this? And you throw it away. I mean, maybe it's by design. I don't know.
But why not drop it back down into the box and like turn it a little bit and try to act like you never took a bite? I mean, you've never done that because, look, I grew up in a big family. I can tell you, I showed up upon a can of Barack chocolates or whatever they were, and my bros had already left me with like the strawberry filled ones and like that light blue colored one. Like, what is that light blue colored stuff? Anyway,
I don't think we'll ever know. But it's interesting. You have a picture of, I believe, the original Toy Story, Tim, which came out in 1995. Now, why is 1995 an interesting year?
Well, it was 94, 95 is when the Rangers won the Cup.
Look at you. I like what you're doing there. I think, but I'll tell you why this is relevant today. For the first time since 1995, and you might be a little upset about this given what your team has done over the last couple of weeks, we have a work stoppage in baseball. A work stoppage, Tim. First time in 26 years.
You know what? I think based upon the what I'm hearing in terms of the energy behind the scenes, we're going to get it. And I don't know. Do you line up on one side or the other on this? You favoring the players, the owners? What do you got?
It's hard. I think as lay people, which 99.9% of us are, will never play in Major League Baseball, will never own a team. You're upset at both sides. How can you ruin the American pastime is what so many of us find ourselves saying in a sport that just prints money.
And that's exactly right, because I think we're going to call both sides culpable here. Are you serious? There's not enough money to be spread around here when I'm spending, I'm taking a family of four to the ballpark, and by the time I get a hot dog and load it up with the works and get my kid a Coke, we're talking about $1,000. But baseball's not really in a position to lose more fans here. And if you think about what's happened over the last 20 years, it's not America's pastime, and there's big debate over what is, but it's not MLB. Can baseball recover from a stoppage, Guy?
Well, the answer is yes, and it reminds me of the line in Officer and a Gentleman with the great Richard Gere, if you recall, when Richard says, I have no place else to go. And that's exactly right. Baseball knows that. The fans have no place. Yeah, we go to football, but they got nowhere else to go.
I want your DOA. I want your DOA, Guy Adami.
That's exactly right. I mean, and Lou Gossett Jr., who, by the way, I think he won an Academy Award. Don't at me if he didn't. If he didn't, he should have, because he was brilliant in that movie.
He was brilliant, and that scene, I got no place to go, is a scene that I've reenacted many times as kind of an expression of at times I'm so frustrated. Dude, how you doing? I'm like, I got. You had one of those days and you're with one of your buddies and he's like, how you doing? And I pull out my Zach Mayo. And yeah, I mean, by the way, David Keith as Sid Worley. Sure. You know what? I don't think he gets enough attention as we look back on why that movie had what it had. I mean, all those different characters, man. And poor Sid. I mean, anyway, and by the way, that was also the heyday of the soundtrack, right? And so the soundtrack of that movie, you got a Joe Cocker and I believe a Jennifer Warnes, Love Lift Us Up.
And Jennifer Warnes, one of the great songwriters that people don't talk about, by the way, but that's for another scene. Now, I'll tell you this. You mentioned David Keith, I heard you say, right? That was Sid from Oklahoma,
David Keith out anytime recently. By the way, David Keith is a big fan of Commercial Break. David, we love your work here, and I'm glad we're having a chance to honor it. Kind of keep going. All right, Guy.
Well, since we're talking about baseball, I think his greatest role was that in Major League Two when he portrayed Jack Parkman, if you recall, the great slugging catcher.
So we're talking about baseball. Is baseball in a position to recover from this as our national pastime? You say yes. I say be careful. And obviously, this brings us into the markets where, at this point, there are a handful of companies out there that maybe not a work stoppage, but maybe they've been dragged in front of a Senate, hearing committee, or they've been dragged out in front of the jury of public opinion. And I think we know we're talking about Facebook, first of all, which is a stock that's not far off of all-time highs. When a lot of the social pressure against the company, frankly, maybe concerned that they were insensitive to a lot of the issues. You had advertisers pulling X, Y, and Z, some of the biggest names in the world, and it didn't matter. And in fact, Facebook, I don't know. I mean, if there's a way to drop a Mark Zuckerberg into a Richard Gere, officer and a gentleman. I mean, because he got back off the mat, and I got to tell you, man, Facebook is going to be there on graduation day, I think. And whether it's going to be like a dramatic walk-in from the outside, as everybody's, as Google and Microsoft and Apple are obviously in their nice uniforms at the head of the class, sitting up there. I see Marky Mark walking in there with his hoodie and his uniform and being okay.
Well, that's it. I mean, what we learned is advertisers have no place else to go. They're basically the customers who are the product, by the way. They have nowhere else to go. People didn't leave. And that's what's going to happen in baseball, in my opinion. And I know come July, if baseball is back, you will be at Shea Stadium cheering on your Metsies as, as J.D. Davis, who picks up third ground balls at third base like he's picking
hand
up.
Grenades.
Exactly. I mean, that's just a team that's a miscast team. Maybe we'll talk about miscast stocks at another time, but you talk about a team that's assembled poorly, that would be your Mets.
By the way, like you still called it Shea Stadium, it will always be Shea Stadium to me, not Citi Field. Bill Shea, one of the great figures in sports. So look, on our way out of here, we should take a right turn here, Clyde. And I think we should say, see you tomorrow, 6 p.m., see you somewhere walking around the airport, sitting down at a lounge or a bar here on Reach TV. Guy Adami, what do we call ourselves?
We call ourselves Commercial Break. See you soon, folks.